If we look at the basic ideas in Christianity, its history, beliefs, and symbolic narratives, one common story begins with the creation of humanity. God created Adam and then created Eve. They lived in a perfect paradise, a place without suffering, without pain, and without fear. Everything they needed was already provided. But after disobeying God, they were removed from heaven and sent to earth. In this interpretation, earth becomes a place of struggle, almost like a punishment, where humanity must live with consequences. From that point onward, the human purpose becomes clear: to return to heaven. The place they came from becomes the place they want to reach again. In Christianity, prayer becomes the central path. Through prayer, devotion, and faith, believers hope to reconnect with God. Heaven is considered the ultimate destination. There is no liberation beyond heaven. Reaching heaven itself is seen as salvation. This is also why Sunday is treated as a holy day. It is dedicated to prayer, reflection, and reconnecting with God. However, according to this narrative, humanity continues to fall into wrongdoing. Actions become worse, and moral decline spreads. The idea of justice becomes important, that actions must have consequences. Within Jewish traditions, there existed a concept that the burden of wrongdoing could be symbolically transferred through sacrifice. If someone committed a sin, an animal could be sacrificed, and that sacrifice would represent the removal of guilt. Over time, the idea evolved further. The sacrifice had to be pure and innocent. A spotless lamb became a symbol of innocence. Because the lamb had committed no wrongdoing, it represented purity. This is why, in many Christian images, Jesus is shown with a small white lamb. The lamb symbolizes innocence and the idea of sacrifice. But another interpretation suggests that Jesus challenged the repeated use of animal sacrifice. Instead of endless sacrifices, the concept shifts toward a single act of compassion. According to Christian belief, God sends Jesus to earth. Jesus is called the Son, while God is referred to as the Father. The idea is not punishment, but redemption. Humanity cannot remove its own burden, so Jesus accepts the responsibility himself. Jesus teaches forgiveness, compassion, and faith, yet his message creates tension. Authorities oppose him, and eventually he is arrested. He is sentenced to crucifixion. In Christian belief, this moment becomes the ultimate sacrifice. Jesus accepts suffering, not for himself, but for humanity. His sacrifice symbolically carries the burden of human wrongdoing. Through this act, the path to heaven is reopened. In Christianity, salvation is often understood as reaching heaven. The sacrifice of Jesus becomes a turning point, a moment where forgiveness becomes available to all. The idea is that he does not seek heaven alone, but opens the way for everyone. Interestingly, this idea has similarities with another philosophical concept, the Bodhisattva in Buddhism. A Bodhisattva is someone who is capable of attaining liberation but chooses to delay it. Instead of leaving the world, the Bodhisattva remains to help others achieve freedom. The focus shifts from personal liberation to universal compassion. Some interpretations in Indian philosophy also describe the idea of sharing or transferring karmic burden. An enlightened being helps balance the suffering of others. This creates a parallel, not necessarily a direct influence, but a conceptual similarity. Historically, the Buddha lived centuries before Jesus, so if any comparison is made, it is often seen as independent development or shared philosophical themes rather than direct borrowing. Ultimately, both the idea of Jesus and the idea of the Bodhisattva emphasize compassion, sacrifice, and guiding others toward liberation. One tradition speaks of salvation through sacrifice. The other speaks of postponing liberation for the sake of all beings. Yet both convey a powerful message that true spirituality is not only about personal freedom, but about helping humanity as a whole.